Week 10 is upon us in the National Football League 2019 season. We're going to get you ready for the games, the 1 o'clock Eastern kickoffs. And let's start, Big Cat, with the Chiefs and the Titans. Patrick Mahomes, by all appearances, will be back. 3 weeks and 1 day removed from the dislocated kneecap. The range was always 3 to 6 weeks. He's right in the middle of that window. Full practice on Wednesday, full practice on Thursday. At some point on Friday, I assume he will be either given the questionable label or no label at all, which will make it completely clear he will be playing. The Titans are a team, and I think they've broken the theory that I came up with, that you claim you came up with, that they win when they're underdogs and lose when they're favorites. They've been losing as underdogs lately, and they're the underdogs on Sunday. And look, anything can happen with the Titans, but I think with Patrick Mahomes back, it's going to be old school Mahomes magic, barring some sort of re-injury or aggravation. I think the Titans should get rolled by the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get rolled. I think it will be a little bit closer than you're saying right here, but the Chiefs are going to win this game. I have no doubt in my mind on that, and that will be a bad quote when they don't win this game. The Titans' offense continues to just be so horrific, and they had a little fool's gold a couple weeks ago when they played the Bucs, and Ryan Tannehill had touchdown drives, Mike, of 10 yards and 6 yards, because that's what Jameis Winston did for him. He turned the ball over so often that Ryan Tannehill did the impossible. I think he had 30 yards passing and 2 touchdowns in the first half, which is pretty much impossible to do. So the Titans' offense remains just horrific. The Chiefs' defense is a lot better. I think everyone that's gone under the radar, it's starting to get a little more note now. Chris Sims has been saying that for a while. The Chiefs' defense is not what it was last year. It's better than that. And Mahomes coming back, I think the Chiefs win. A little bit close, but the Chiefs win.
Bills at the Browns. The Browns are past the point of desperation mode. They essentially have no margin for error. They lose 1 game in the second half. Their best case scenario is 9-7, and that may not get them in the AFC. I feel like that they can muster away. They're 0-3 at home. The Bills, I don't want to say they're a fraudulent 6-2, because the last time that term fraudulent was used on a Friday show, it was used by you in reference to the Ravens. You said they were a fraudulent 4-2, and they've beaten the Seahawks and Patriots since then. So the Bills, I'm not going to say they're a fraudulent 6-2. I'm not going to say that. I just think that the Browns at 2-6, it's time for them to get a win at home. It's time for them to get locked in and focused. They have the Steelers coming up twice. At one point we were saying, the schedule is really going to soften for the Browns. It's not going to soften, because the Steelers are not going to be soft opponents for the Browns 2 out of the next 3 weeks after this Bills game. But I think the Browns find a way, some way, somehow. Freddie Kitchens and company find a way to win this one. I have no tremendous faith in that. It's a gut feeling. It's time for the Browns to get a win before they get swept by the Steelers.
All right, so one correction. I said the Ravens they had a fraudulent schedule up to the point, and that if they beat the Seahawks or the Patriots, they just need to beat one of those teams. I would declare myself wrong. I have done so. I've eaten crow, no pun intended, with the Ravens. I am clear with Ravens fans. They can stop coming after me. For this game, Mike, I think the Browns, as long as they stick to running the football, which we have seen in back-to-back weeks, the Bills are susceptible to that. Adrian Peterson had over 100 yards in the first half last week with the Redskins. They obviously had to go away from the run because they were down in that game. Miles Sanders in the second half for the Eagles 2 weeks ago was running wild on that Bills defense. I think the Bills defense is good, not great. And if the Browns can stick to running the football and helping Baker Mayfield here, they will win this game, a last gasp effort. This also falls into the category of a team that just desperately needs a win versus a team in the Bills that maybe doesn't need a win as badly. So I'm taking the Browns. And yes, I did the last gasp effort last week as well against the Broncos. That lost. This will probably lose. I will continually think the Browns will keep gasping and coming up for air, and they will continue to drown. I'm okay with it.
I like the idea of a possible Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, both guys in the backfield at the same time. I don't like that it may add more stress and tension to this whole Odell Beckham Jr. not getting the ball enough, but it does enhance the chances of a win if you can complement Nick Chubb with Kareem Hunt, who's back from suspension. We mentioned the Ravens. Let's move to the Ravens now. 6-2 at Cincinnati. The Bengals are 0-8, and when they played in Baltimore, the Ravens only won that game by 6 points. And when you look at the Ravens' upcoming schedule, they've got 4 difficult games. This is the ultimate trap. This is the ultimate pothole game that the Ravens can step into. And I think the fact that they only beat them by 6 points back in Week 6, that's exactly the ammunition John Harbaugh needs to get the attention of the Ravens. Ryan Finley is getting the start at quarterback for the Bengals. All indications here are the Ravens should blow them out, and I think they will, but they need to be focused or they could find themselves with one of those outcomes, and there have been 3 or 4 of them this year where we look at them in hindsight, we're like, how the hell that happened? How the hell the Jets beat the Cowboys? How the hell the Browns beat the Ravens? How the hell the Bengals beat the Ravens? I don't think we're going to be saying that on Monday if the Ravens properly focus on this opponent.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to win this game. I have no doubt in my mind. But to steal a phrase from you, I'm going to thread the needle, even though it's a 10.5-point spread, so it's not really threading the needle. It's a huge margin there. I think the Bengals will be competitive. Coming off a bye, new quarterback. There's always that new quarterback bump that you can see. Unless Ryan Finley is just a horrific quarterback, you can usually get a nice little bump. Guys block a little bit harder. The team has a little more pep in their step when they have a quarterback come in and give them a different look. The Ravens coming off a fantastic win on Sunday Night Football against the Patriots. It is very hard to get up a week after that when you're going to sleepy Cincinnati and playing a 1 o'clock game. So I'm going to take the Bengals plus 10. The Ravens are going to win, and that's my Mike Florio thread the huge needle lock of the week.
All right, thank you for that. Lions and the Bears. See, for giving me a hard time about threading the needle, now you have to talk about your Chicago Bears. 3-4-1 Lions, who should be much better than that. Bears are 3-5, and it feels like they're worse than that. They get a home game. They have a dome team coming into town. I believe in the Bears this week. I just feel like they're not going to lose every remaining game on their schedule. They were capable of winning 3 in a row. I just feel like it's time. Doesn't it feel like it's time for you? You're not capable of being objective. You just think they're going to lose every game from now till they disband the franchise. I think they're going to win on Sunday.
Mike, listen, when things start going south, I want them to go all the way south. You know, what are the Bears? I know they don't have their first-round draft pick. The Raiders do.
You want the Raiders to have a higher pick? Let's tank for the Raiders?
Listen, Mike, all I'm saying is there needs to be changes in Hallis Hall, and this season has been an absolute disaster. And this is one of those games. I'm not expecting the Bears to play very well because they have not shown. What have they shown in the last few weeks? Like, okay, an Eagles second half, yeah, they played well against the Eagles in the second half. But how can they haven't put together 4 good quarters since the Redskins Monday night game. And actually, that wasn't even 4 good quarters because if you remember that game, it was the Vikings. Actually, let me say that. Against your Vikings, which is pathetic to think about how badly the Bears beat their faces in. I think when this game starts, if we get a 3-and-out from this offense, if we get double 3-and-outs from this offense, like it happened last week in Philadelphia where they had a single passing yard in the first half, this defense will quit. And I think the defense is phenomenal. The defense has won games statistically for this offense, and the offense hasn't been able to even muster up an effort that would win any other team a game in the NFL. But I think this defense is teetering as well. Akeem Hicks being out since his injury, it has been a different looking defense. He was always a crucial anchor in that defense. I just don't have any trust in Mitch Trubisky. I have no trust in Matt Nagy. I don't, Mike. What am I going to do? What am I going to do right now? I'm pleading with you. What am I going to do? What am I going to do telling you right now that the Bears are going to show up and somehow be a different team than I've watched for the entire season?
Are you a bench Trubisky and put Chase Daniel back in the game guy?
Sure. I don't know. I'm a why not run the 2-minute offense with Mitch Trubisky all game long? Why not install the Lamar Jackson offense with Mitch Trubisky all game long? If you are still saying to yourself, Mitch Trubisky, we got another year of him controlled, why not try everything with him? Instead of coming out and saying, Mitch, we're not throwing downfield. You're going to throw it underneath. You're going to look confused. It's going to be a disaster week in and week out. Try something different. Run tempo. Run Lamar Jackson off and let Mitch Trubisky use his feet. Let him go, RPO. I don't know. Do something different because what you're doing week in and week out does not work.
One more quick question on this, and then we got to get in a quick preview of the Giants-Jets game. Are you of the mindset that they should get rid of Trubisky after this season or bring in someone to compete with him, supplant him or compete with him in 2020? What's your preference?
Well, what's the cap situation? I mean, I think the money's already kind of paid, right? So why not just have him compete against someone? I think that's probably the answer. You just bring someone in to compete. The Bears are not going to be able to get another quarterback until they start getting back in the first round. So I don't know. The whole thing is a big problem, Mike, and it's clearly making me angry, and I'm very upset that you're wearing a Bears shirt to mock me today.
That's exactly why I did it. Hey, I
know you
Giants,
did it that
Jets.
way.
There's no reason to watch the Giants and the Jets except for this. The black cat, Big Cat, is still loose.
It is still loose.
He's still loose, or she. The black cat may make an appearance during the game on Sunday.
Mike, I actually am excited to watch this game because I think the loser of this game, that coach is fired. Adam Gase, obviously 1 year in, so it's going to be, you don't see teams do it often. You did see the Cardinals do it last year. He's not Joe Douglas's guy. So he is always on the hot seat because the Jets hired their coach before they hired their GM, which never works out.
But Joe Douglas is Gase's guy. That's the problem.
Right, but
Joe Douglas was handpicked by Gase.
Right. But that's not how the hierarchy's flipped upside down. So as soon as, Joe Douglas is going to get to fire him if he wants to fire him, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, are you saying whoever loses, the coach gets fired now, or you're saying after the season?
At the end of the season, because the other thing I wanted to bring up to your attention, Pat Shurmur, when he was asked this week how losing wears on him, he said, "I'm built for this." That's not a quote you want out there, Mike. He's built for losing.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson is unaffected by circumstance, stakes, day, night, opponent. He just goes out and plays. Kirk Cousins is hyper aware of how big of a game it is, how many people are watching. Is it a night game? Is it a big game? Are there playoff implications? And he holds the ball too tight. He sails the ball over the heads of open receivers. He did that multiple times on Sunday against the Chiefs because it was a big game. He's going to do it again on Sunday night because it's a big game against the Cowboys. At some point, it's going to manifest itself because he is incapable of just forgetting about the situation and just playing football. He can do it when it's not a big game. When it is a big game, that's when he freaks out. That's my take. Cowboys win.
Okay, well, how about Jason Garrett in a big game? Because it's not so great as well. He's had some struggles in big games, in primetime games. Mike, I want to figure out this stat. It dawned on me the other day. We talk about Kirk Cousins' stats all the time against winning teams in primetime games. Give me the reverse. It must be incredible seeing Kirk Cousins against a losing team at 1 o'clock. Those must be the most insane stats of all time. So I want to see that. I want to rebrand Kirk Cousins. I want to throw those stats out there because all we talk about is how he stinks in the big game. He stinks against winning teams. Well, guess what, Mike? I'm going to flip it and reverse it on you. I'm going to say Kirk Cousins is going to win this game and maybe get a "you like that" on Sunday night.
So Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in NFL history when the game doesn't matter.
Correct.
I
want to see 1 o'clock, noon kickoff in Minnesota against a team that is under 500 by the end of the year. What is Kirk Cousins' record all time? It's probably incredible.
And the key is going to be Dalvin Cook yet again. If he can run the ball and they can move the chains that way, it's going to make it easier for Kirk Cousins. I still don't have faith when the game is on the line, and at some point it will be. Panthers-Packers, Lambeau Field. The worst thing that could happen to the Panthers last week was the Packers getting the crap beat out of them by the Chargers. I think the Packers are going to be locked in. They're going to be ready for this one. Kyle Allen's going to get a rude awakening. This is very simple. Kyle Allen, Aaron Rodgers. Give me Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on who's going to win the game straight up, but 5.5 for the Panthers. And guess what? The Panthers are going to be able to run the ball, Mike, because the Packers defense has not been able to stop the run. And they've been, remember week 1, 2, 3 when we were talking about how great the Packers defense was? Well, turns out everyone has looked great against Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky this year. So we got a little over our skis on that one. I think the Panthers will hang tough in this game. Packers will win. But the Panthers are going to be able to move the ball with Christian McCaffrey, and if they can kind of shorten the game by running it some more, it will be a fourth quarter game where Aaron Rodgers will have to make plays. He will, but it will be close.
I like the Packers to cover, though. Rams, Steelers. Sneaky great game. Rams lose, that's going to make it very difficult for them to get to the postseason. The Steelers have dug out of the September stench, as Mike Tomlin called it. They've gone 4-1 over the last 5 games. I felt this way last week. There's something about Heinz Field. There's something about this zone that the Steelers have slid into. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. It doesn't matter what it looks like on paper. They're going to find a way to win this. It's not going to look pretty. It may take another field goal that is 50 feet wide left at the end, like it took last week to beat the Colts. Bounce of the ball, bad call, bad karma, something. I feel like this is just pure visceral. Being around Pittsburgh most of my life, this just feels like a game that it lines up for the Steelers to end up with more points than the Rams. No matter how they do it, I feel like they're going to do it.
I agree. I've been high on the Steelers for a few weeks now. I think their defense has kind of picked it up here. They're finding ways to win games. They're doing it in an ugly fashion, like you said. But the Steelers, I think, will get into the playoffs. I bet on them in the future to get into the playoffs 2-3 weeks ago when they were under 500. So I am all in on the Steelers getting back into this playoff picture, and it starts on Sunday.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.